All right, folks, welcome back. Sports Journey Media, Lake Lewis Show, right here. Happy Friday to you out there. Once again, if you're joining us, we mentioned that we were going to bring in NBA guard Keyon Dooling and boxing analyst Richard Quinones will be coming on a little bit later, where we're breaking down what's going on today in boxing. A lot of good stuff coming up. So without further ado, let's bring a good friend in here right now, Mr. Keyon Dooling. What's going on, Keyon?
Lake Lewis, what's going on, my friend?
What's up? What's up? A name and voice from the past. You know, folks remember this gentleman and myself doing some wonderful things down in warm Orlando. I'm sitting up here in the Northeast where it's a little nippy right now. I know you're down there in nice, sunny, warm Florida, so we don't want to talk about that. But what's life been like for you, my friend?
Man, you know what, man? Life is good, man. It's a lot slower. You know, when you're on a sports journey, so to speak, you really don't have an opportunity to, be mindful of, truly mindful of all your surroundings. And so, to really not have to punch a clock every day and, exhaust your physical being to the limits is freedom if you do it right.
Yeah, I can hear that. And, the other thing, Keyon, is that, I want to get this out the air real quick right now. Are you officially retired, or listen, if that payday's still out there, you'll take it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely retired from playing basketball in the NBA or playing basketball like professionally anywhere. But I'm not, retired. I mean, I'm 33 years old. So I'm transitioning. I'm evolving. Kind of step, but of course around the game. I mean, if I'm an expert in anything, it's in basketball. I've been playing basketball, since I can ever remember. But I spent 13 years in the league, in college. I worked in the front office. I have union experience. So, man, I'm a hooper, dude. And I think playing is the purest form of it. But I think you can get a lot of great satisfaction in other avenues of our game.
Exactly, and you have started a foundation, and I commend you for that. This is a guy, folks, this is a guy that, we go back. I don't want to date ourselves here, but let's just say this. When I met him, we instantly clicked, and I knew this was a special guy. And you had talked to me about going back to school and all the things you wanted to do when your career was over. But you were telling me this in the early part of your career. So I commend you for being one of those players out there that had a vision and knew that you weren't going to play forever. You knew you were going to make a transition. So I commend you for being a businessman now and doing some great stuff.
Well, I appreciate it. And, I appreciate you for mentioning the foundation, the Respect Foundation. And, it's kind of taboo, for men to talk about being molested and being sexually abused. But it's something that I went through, and it's something that, that has been, one of the biggest, well, not the act itself, that I don't think that was a blessing, but, but how I was able to heal from that has been a truly eye-opening experience for me, and I look forward to fighting that battle boldly.
Absolutely. And folks, while we're at it, right now I'm talking with Keyon Dooling, good friend of mine. I want to let everyone know that coming up on April 11th, right here in Ashburn, Virginia, we too here at Sports Journey Media, we're presenting our first literacy awareness event. It is to help kids from Child Help, a foundation we're working with up here, where it is for abused kids. And,
unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's presented by Coca-Cola. So we're excited about all these endeavors. And again, I want to bring these type of people on the show that can tell you from experiences, they can tell you how you can make things better in society. And then obviously this is a person that, from a sports standpoint, knew how to play the game as well. So, Keyon, when you look at the road that you've traveled, look at the teams that you've played for, our day, you and myself, we go back to the Orlando Magic. Do you get a chance now sometimes to just sit back and think of all the great players that you've played with? Because, I mean, we're talking about first ballot Hall of Famers here.
Absolutely, man. For the first time in my life, I got to sit back and think about, like, everything all the way back as far as I can remember, like, back to, 3 years old. And, the NBA, it goes so fast, and it's such a tough business to be in that you can't really embrace fully, the magnificence that you see on a daily basis or the radiance of the people who you're around on a daily basis. So it's not until you're actually away from all that you get to reflect and say, wow, man, I got poured into by Pat Riley. I got poured into by this guy. I got poured into by that guy. Doc Rivers, Dan Van Gundy, you know, just all these people on all these different layers of our game, and it's been an amazing experience for me.
You know, and if you think of some of the players, you know, naturally, you know, we can go back, you and myself, with Dwight Howard, but then you think about your time in Miami, you know, Flash, D. Wade, you know, think Shaq, you know, think of all these guys that, you know, you most of us as fans or in media, you know, cover and see and think of them as superstars and those things.
Yeah.
You know, these guys as men, and I think that takes another level.
They are superstars as well. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You know, I think, you know, sometimes we have a hard time saying that in our game. But, man, our stars drive our league, man. They're awesome. They're really superstars. And I've been very fortunate and very blessed to play with, you know, the Kevin Garnett's, the Paul Pierce, the Ray Allens, the Ron Knowles, you know, the Shaqs, the Wades, the Vince Carters, and, you know, like really, really great players. But more so than that, you know, what I get from it is, you know, yeah, it's great players out there, and there's a lot of great players, but the people that we really don't talk about is the great men who like, you know, mentored me and, you know, guided me. And those guys aren't superstars as far as players, but they were superstar people. So I give thanks for guys like Steve Smith and Doug Overton and, you know, guys like that who just, like, mentor you and, you know, really help you. Eddie Jones was probably my biggest mentor. But people like that who just, like, you know, open up your mind and teach you how to be a good professional and a family man and set yourself up for your post-career. Those people are really influential, and I think our game does a good job of, you know, making a platform for those people to stay around.
And, you know, we go back, man, when we used to talk about how my media style was to bring the guys like yourself on and the guys that did everything right, the guys who were about the community and stayed out of trouble. And sometimes people don't want to see that from me. Sometimes people think, you know, oh, listen, you know these guys, you got to make them look good. And I'm like, there's a reason why I know this guy. Because
no doubt. I mean, I think, you know, it's great to have, you know, balance in media responsibility. And so just like, you know, just like we need Sports Journey and you to do the positive things and to do the meaningful things, but we also need the people that stir up the pot. And stir up the pot a little bit and are a little bit more provocative in their approach to the media field. So I think everybody, man, the great thing about sports, man, everybody has a platform, everybody has a place. And you can kind of stay, you know, true to your essence and your style, but you have to do things right. You still have to qualify. Of
course. Folks, right now talking with Keyon Dooling, longtime NBA player, doing some great things now.
Hey, Lake, I'm sorry, Lake. I hate to cut you off, bro. I know you're the man. I neglected to mention that my book is complete, and you know, I'm excited about that. It's called "What's Driving You."
Man,
and yeah, man, it's how I overcame sexual abuse and learned to lead in the NBA. And so I'm looking forward to that, man. It's gonna be a dope project. I'm putting a music piece with it. I got an artist who's bringing it to life graphically, and I penned it. So I think it's a good artistic combination of healing, toughness, a lot of different things. So I'm excited about that project.
Well, you know, I need a signed copy of that, man. You know, I'm gonna be pushing that.
You can get the uncut, you know, unedited, you know. I got you, bro. I'll send an email over as soon as I get off the phone with you.
That's what I'm talking about right there. I mean, yeah, I definitely would love to push that. You know, and again, if everybody expected me to bring Keyon on here and we're going to talk X's and O's and all those good things, listen, it's so much more to life. It's so much more substance, you know, at times to these things. And again, you know, the project that I'm doing up here, it's very important. You know, I think when you have a forum to touch people, when you have a forum to really, you know, make a difference, I mean, you've got to use it. You have no choice. I mean, I think that's what God put us here for, you know, to help people. So, you know, I keep saying this over and over, but I could not be more proud of you, man. I really sincerely mean that. You know, we've traveled some long roads, man.
Yeah, man. You've been awesome. Not only you, your family.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Especially in my development, that On Point show we got to do with each other in Orlando. It really, you know, gave me a lot of experience with media, with radio, with television. It helped me cultivate and develop my skill set so I can articulate what it is that I was trying to say when in the heat of the battle, when I was sweating and I was tired and I'm at my most emotional moment. Mm-hmm. Those athletes have a really tough job. I'm tired of people, always saying, oh, they just bounce the ball, they just do that. But there's so much more to it. And, it's a profession and we make a lot of money, and it's a reason, we make a lot of money. But more so than the money that we make, the impact that we have on children, adults, families, like cities, communities. Like a city could ride or die with a team, up in your area right now, if the Redskins don't do something this year, it's going to be some furniture moving.
It is, and I'm going to lead that furniture moving, too. Of course it is. One thing I do remember with you is that I remember the first time, and this was before we did the show together on ESPN Radio, but I remember you came on as a guest the first time on the show, and I could not believe that this guy actually was taking over my show, folks. He was actually talking about the Miami Hurricanes and talking about who they should recruit and all this stuff. And I'm like, this guy's versed. That was crazy.
Back in those days, I used to think I used to have to say it all at one time. Now I can just sit back and just like, you the man now, like just ask the question. I try and keep up with you, bro.
Nah, man, I'm just doing what I have fun doing. I've been blessed to have guys like yourself come on the programs, and we just try to have fun. That's all it is. Try to have fun with it. If you can't have fun, folks, you got problems. You got to have fun. When you look at the NBA now, right now you're in South Florida, defending champs there, trying to go for 3. It looked like the Indiana Pacers early in the year were making that statement. But now I'm starting to see a veteran-laden team in South Florida starting to put their foot down on the gas a little bit. Can Indiana really challenge them, or is it what I think, that Miami definitely is going to the finals?
Yeah, no, I mean, Indiana definitely is a threat. And, they're a very serious threat. So I'm interested to see, how that works out, man. I think our game, if you look at the high school level with the kid out of Chicago, Okafor, and, some of those other kids, and if you look at our young freshman players in college basketball, and if you look at our young superstars, and if you look at our intermediate superstars, and even our older superstars in the NBA, I think American basketball is at its peak right now. It hadn't been like this since, KG and those dudes was in high school, and then you had Grant Hill and C. Webb them in college, and then you had MJ and the Dream Team and the Dream Team 2 in the league. I think it's kind of mirroring that right now for American basketball.
Yeah, I can agree with you. It's definitely must-see TV at this point. And let's face it, I think Miami is part of the reason for that, because they're the closest things we've seen to the Bulls. When they had Michael Jordan, obviously Miami has LeBron James, best player in the game right now. You remember a couple years back when Kobe's team was, going for 3-peats and stuff like that. You want to watch and see who can knock off the kingpin, who can beat the top dog out there. And right now, I think a lot of people are curious to see, is Miami beatable? I think last year, San Antonio, for my money, Keyon, San Antonio had a championship in their pocket. It just fell out. They had a hole in their pocket.
No, I know, man. The game is so fragile, man. You either, you're so close, but yet so far. But, it's going to be still tough, with LeBron in the playoffs. It's really going to be tough. But I do believe that, they're vulnerable this year. And I do believe not only in the Eastern Conference getting out is going to be, tough going through Indiana, but also, whoever they face in the West, I think is going to be, quite the challenge.
Folks, right now talking with Keyon Dooling. A few minutes left here. Keyon, a couple more questions for you. One is, right here in town, the Washington Wizards are trying to, make the playoffs for, first time in several years, since the Gilbert Arenas, Anton Jameson, Caron Butler days. And they're a young team, and it seems to me that, I cover them, but when I get a chance to see them, it just seems like they're lacking a killer instinct. And is that something that you get as, just years in the league, or is it just something they have to learn?
I don't think that applies right now. I know quite a few guys on that team. They just picked up Drew Gooden. Killer instinct. Okay. OG Al Harrington. You don't last almost 2 decades in the league without a killer instinct. Trevor Ariza, who's a champion, who's a feisty defender, who's turned himself into one of the best corner 3-point shooters in the game, has a killer instinct. And, I just think that they have a great mixture of, Marcin Gortat as well, who I play with in Orlando. I know that guy has a killer instinct. So I think they got a good chance of, if they get healthy, they can, really get past, really do some damage in the playoffs. I really believe if they hit a full stride, I think they can do some damage.
All right, well, that's encouraging news to know. Still talking hoops now, but I want to talk a little bit of college real quick. It just doesn't seem to me that this year's NCAA tournament has the same buzz about it of years past. Last year, Louisville went into the tournament, and you just knew that they were kind of like that team that was destined to win it. I know Florida's playing some great ball right now. Billy Donovan doing a great job with them. Wichita State, a team that was in the Final Four last year that people don't remember, they're undefeated now. But it just doesn't seem like this year the hype is there. Is that just me, or are you seeing that?
No, I agree with you. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even watch the college game right now. I mean, it's like unorganized. Like just fast paced. Like it's like super. Aggressive as far as the hand checking and the fouling.
Mm-hmm.
I believe some of the best players. Some of the guys who are making a few dollars in the league should still be in college, but the college system is so flawed that I would not want them to be in that system either because it's so flawed.
Right.
Why be, So I think that the system has to, if you really want to take care of the integrity of the game, I do believe that you really have to attack some of the conditions of the state and of the game. And I believe that a lot of the young guys would, stay in college a little bit longer if the living conditions and the overall lifestyle conditions were better for the athlete. And I can say that because I was a college athlete, so
Absolutely.
I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
It would encourage guys to stay longer if the if the economical conditions were better for the athlete.
I just had this conversation today before I even came to the studio. I was talking about I had a meeting with someone, and I was telling them, everyone looks at us and they think you played in college, it was great. Yeah, not really. A lot of people don't realize it. We knew it was a business from day one. So
it was one of the toughest experiences of my life. I grew up, I had two parents. They worked hard. We did the best we could. But I tell you, it was a lot rougher being, not having a lot in college than it was, not having a lot when you're at home with your family. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I'm not saying that, everybody needs to get rich, that's not what I'm saying. But, something to, encourage, an athlete to be at their best.
Yeah, or to encourage them to stick around and enjoy, what some people say the best 4 years. Absolutely, before you turn to the Wolves. Listen, the NCAA has dropped the ball quite a bit, over the past few years. They've been dropping the ball for a long time, but specifically the past few years, when the growth of the game and the contracts that they've been getting with, the CBS's and ESPN's, they've been making a lot of money off of a lot of students. So, to use
I understand that. Listen, it's about making money. That's a part of it, but it can't be the only part. NCAA, they have a great business model, so I won't fault them for that. I'm just saying, over time, conditions, improve.
Yeah.
And it's just a natural evolution, and, people need to really start stepping up, especially people who come out of the system. I don't like to be muzzled from having an opinion about that. I think, as an athlete, it's a very, very tough feel for a teenager.
Yeah.
And I just really would like to see the conditions improve for the athlete.
Yeah, I think we all would, and hopefully that happens real soon. Look, my friend, as always, it's always good to get you back on the air. And
Lake Lewis, you the man.
Nah, man, I'm just trying. I'm just trying to do some good stuff. That's all. As always, man, we're gonna have to get you back on. Help me break down some stuff, especially when the playoffs come, because I think Wizards.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. I didn't get a job this year playing, so I got a lot of free time on my hand, bro. So holla at me, dog. I'm pretty sure you can get me on the line.
I sure will.
Now that I'm in the league, too many people don't call me every day. So, man, you'll get right through. First ring, I might pick it up.
Oh, man. Well, of course, and again, I wanted to tell you that Monica told me to tell you what's up. She told me to say, tell him on the air that I said what's up. So, yeah, you make sure you tell your wife we said what's up as well, all right?
Well, you tell your spectacular wife I say hello and all the best, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Good luck now. I'll talk to you.
All right, peace.
All right, folks. Keyon Dooling, quality human being. And again, for everybody out there that doesn't understand that, again, to go back to his situation, I give him a lot of credit for coming forward. And this is not just to, help him. It's to help others as well who are going through unfortunate situations of abuse. And for him to come out, publicly and tell people his stories and tell people what he's going to do to make things better for others, again, I commend him for that, because a lot of people talk about having courage, but when you have the opportunity to present that, a lot of people have failed. So again, and if you're a Wizards fan, he gave us some hope. And I can say that. I can say us this time. I'm not supposed to say that in the media, but look, I'm from Washington. Of course, I want every team here to do well. He broke it down. He said there are some killers on this team. Bottom line is they've got to prove it. I mean, the Wizards have been struggling, winning games at home that they should win. Bad loss the other night against the Bobcats, soon to be Hornets next year. They're going back to that, Charlotte is. But the Wizards had an opportunity to make up some ground, against teams that I don't know how good Chicago is, but I know they're not bad. And I don't know if the Wizards are going to be able to make up ground on them to move into a third or a fourth seed. And then you have, a team like Brooklyn right now that has found themselves. They've pieced some things together. I think Jason Kidd's proving that, he really is a good coach. That he's a guy in his first year that figured it out as the season went along, and he's finally found the right pieces, the right buttons to push in Brooklyn. So I don't know if the Wizards are going to be able to, surpass them. So you're talking about the Wizards, going in as a 6 seed, unless they really collapse and Charlotte, bypasses them and moves into a 6. The Wizards go to a 7. I don't think that's going to happen. But I have said this, and I do agree with Keyon on this. I think the Wizards are tailor-made to cause some damage, to cause some problems in the playoffs, as long as they don't get an opening round opponent by the name of the Miami Heat or the Indiana Pacers. If they can avoid a 7 or 8 seed, I do think that they're capable of getting in there and mixing it up with anyone. We all know whoever plays Miami, whoever plays Indiana, they're going to get knocked out. Miami and Indiana on a collision course. I don't know if Indiana technically can beat Miami at this point. I'm not sure. They're going to have to prove it to me. Keyon said that they are a serious threat, and I take that man's credibility, having played against both those teams and played with a lot of those players on the team. So, look, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I will give you some more updates, some more announcements of some events that we're going to be doing. Also, coming up a little bit later on, I think like around 4:20 today, we're going to have Richard Q. Quinones, boxing analyst, guy I go way back with as well, and just another hungry guy out there making his way in the business. Had one of the top shows, if not the top sports talk show in Delaware on Fox Sports Radio a couple years ago, but he's transitioning into the boxing, something that was his first love, what he wanted to do, and I give him a lot of credit for it. You're not going to find too many people out there, folks, that are more versed than Richard Q. Quinones. We'll have him coming on 4:20, or let me see, what is it, 4:40 it is. Sorry about that, folks. We're going to have him come on 4:40 today, right here. You're watching the Lake Lewis Show.
If you're disabled and unable to work, pay attention to the following message.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to disability benefits through Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from a physical or mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. You'll be matched up with an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, deal with Social Security for you, and handle all appeals. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. To get started, call the number on your screen now. And keep in mind, there are a vast number of conditions that make you eligible for disability benefits, and dozens of additions that you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call the Citizens Disability Helpline today for a free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 1-800-735-0219. Call now.
Imagine with a simple push of a button, you could be on your way to getting firm, sculpted abs and a sexy waistline with the Contour Core Sculpting System. It's the breakthrough technology that requires no machines, no getting on the floor, no stress, and no strain.
Contour.
The Contour is the real deal.
The secret is Contour's exclusive auto-active muscle toning technology, the digital breakthrough that automatically targets all your abdominal muscles, including your upper abs, lower abs, obliques, and even that stubborn lower belly. Thermographic testing proves Contour activates your entire core. The Contour Core Sculpting System comes with a one-size-fits-all Contour Core belt belt, electronic controller with custom digital settings, batteries, and a 1-year warranty, plus an instructional guide and sensible eating plan. And it's all yours to try for 30 days for just $14.95. There's never been an easier, more effective way to get great-looking abs. So call and order right now.
Health insurance update.
This just in for all uninsured Americans with or without pre-existing conditions. The recent health care bill will not take effect until at least 2014, leaving families and individuals lacking health insurance with no immediate solution to their concerns. Meanwhile, medical problems continue to be the #1 cause of bankruptcies. Here's the good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide affordable health insurance for all uninsured Americans, and yes, uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Call the number on your screen now, and in less than 10 minutes, you could receive a choice of affordable plans from the Hotline Network. This is not a discount card. You will have access to doctors, hospitals, dental care, infant care, and emergency services. Call the Health Insurance Hotline now and get you and your family covered today.
Call 800-794-1817. That's 800-794-1817. Call now.
Are you stressed over credit cards and other debts? Maybe through no fault of your own? Imagine how it would feel to have that weight lifted right off your shoulders. Well, here's some good news from America's trusted name in debt relief. Care One providers have already helped over 4.5 million people in debt, and we can help you today. Just call this toll-free number to speak with a friendly representative, and in just minutes, you'll get your free debt relief analysis.
Regardless of your situation, Care One has an option for you.
We are there to help, and we do that in a way that's empathetic and supportive without judging their financial situation.
The credit card companies, I feel, are trying to keep you in debt and trying to keep it so you owe them money forever. And Care One is a good way to get you out of that and get you out of it fast.
A big burden was lifted off of my shoulders.
Care One threw me a lifeline.
Call Care One. They will help you.
Get debt relief from a company you can trust. Just call the toll-free number today.
All right, folks, welcome back here. Lake Lewis Show here on Sports Journey Media. Again, want to give a quick shout out to Keyon Dooling. Came on, did a great job breaking down some college hoops, NBA life, talked about, a personal situation that he had, and, that really, again, is affecting a lot of kids today. And I appreciate Keyon for coming on the show and having the courage to talk about that. And his foundation is really helping a lot of folks. So, again, folks, we're going to start, being able to help you support these foundations. I have several friends, that played in the league. Some of them still in there to this very day. And, they're trying to get, people to spend more time looking at their foundations, more so than looking at them. So, again, I appreciate him coming on. Coming up shortly, we're going to have a boxing analyst, Richard Quinones, coming on with us as well. So we'll talk about some big fights coming up this weekend. And, we had a great fight last week. Saul Canelo Alvarez, big win against Angulo. And, Q came on, I think, like 2 weeks ago and talked about that and said, hey, it was going to be, methodical beating, basically. And that's what happened, 10th round TKO for Alvarez there. So we'll break that down, talk about that, do a little bit of a recap, I guess, when he comes on. So lots of good stuff coming up. Had a good show yesterday. If you hadn't had a chance to see it, you can see right here on Sports Journey Media, sportsjourney.com. You get a chance to see, just and hear, some great commentary from our new NFL analyst, Mr. Philip Daniels. Used to play with the Washington Redskins, Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears. Also, sports agent Jesse White was on with me as well. He comes on with me once a week. So lots of stuff, picking it all up, building it up here, getting back in the mix, and just excited. It's an exciting time for us here at Sports Journey Media. Lots of good stuff that we've been able to do over the past few weeks, and great staff. Everyone's just excited. So anyway, let's get back into a lot of stuff. NBA top seeds. We kind of gave you a recap already of the Eastern Conference. You see the Miami Heat. Just the team right now to beat. Two-time defending champion. Can they get three? You see the guy over my right shoulder back there, LeBron James, really, the catalyst for this team. Best player in the game today. But you heard Keyon Dooling say, and he played with these guys. He played with Miami for a while, and you heard him say he's in, South Florida as we speak. We were just talking to him. He's in Fort Lauderdale. So, You could kind of hear it in his voice, and he said it. Indiana's a serious threat. I think on paper they are. Clearly. I mean, look at some of the moves that they made. You go out in the offseason, you bring in Luis Scola, a big man that gives you some depth, that can score, can rebound. You make some moves this season during the trading deadline. You go out and you get Evan Turner, a true scorer from Philadelphia. You go out and you pick up Andrew Bynum, who, had his first game action, I think, 2 nights ago. So you're adding pieces here to a team that was already good, to a team that already featured, one of the up-and-coming top 5 players in the game, Paul George. Is he a top 5 player right now? If he's not, he's close. I think if you look at his size and things that he does, he's a pretty special player. One of the better big men in the game today. I know it's not a big man's league anymore, so to speak, but Roy Hibbert's a throwback. So you have a guy in him that can give you double-doubles every night. And then I think the guy that's kind of been the wild card for this team all year is Lance Stevenson. This is a guy that, you go back to, the Born Ready. You remember the documentary, they followed him around, New York City playground legend, was the city player of the year in New York and had a lot of hype. And, a lot of schools were leery of giving him a scholarship, not because he was a bad person or he didn't have the grades, but because they knew he was going to the NBA. A lot of teams don't want to be, a quote-unquote sacrificial lamb where they know they're only going to have a guy play with them for 1 year and then they're going to leave. So Lance Stevenson, end up, going to, if I'm not mistaken, it was Cincinnati, and he left after 1 year. And now you're seeing a guy that, let's just say he had gone to college for 2 years, maybe 3. This would have been like his second year in the league. He'd been coming off his rookie year. So now when people are saying that, he was a bust, he wasn't that good, come on, folks. You're talking about an 18, 19-year-old kid. Everyone can't come in and be Kobe. And if I'm not mistaken, Kobe struggled right off the bat when he came in the NBA. He had some bright moments, had some bad moments. I remember him missing a shot that, normally a rookie does not take a game-winning shot, on the line with your season on the line in the playoffs. I remember vividly him missing a shot against Utah, Shaq and those guys, Van Exel, Eddie Jones, walking them off the court together. So, again, for Lance Stevenson to be where he is now, and by the way, he should have made the All-Star game. I truly believe that. Maybe the numbers don't show that, but if you look at what he does for that team, he's like the wild card for the Indiana Pacers. And if they have a shot to beat Miami, it's going to be because of him. Let's face it, you have a lengthy team in Indiana, and that's the type of team that you're going to need to beat Miami, because Miami's a lengthy team too. People fail to realize that they have one of the larger lineups just by default. I mean, you look at LeBron James, 6'8", 6'9". You Chris Bosh is 6'10", 6'11". Dwayne Wade, 6'3", 6'4". But even Mario Chalmers is like 6'4". So, you look at what they have. They do have some length to their team. And I think that that's where Indiana has always matched up well against Miami. But do they have enough in the tank? Do they have, as I said before, killer instinct? Are they going to be able to put Miami away when they have opportunities? You go back a couple years now in the playoffs, they've had opportunities that the series were basically shifting to be in Indiana's favor, and they weren't finishing the job. I go back 2 years ago where they had a chance. They were going back to Indiana series tied, and Miami blew them out in Game 5. So Indiana didn't capture that moment. They could have seized the moment of that series. And then you go to last year. Everyone remembers, was it Game 2, LeBron James going by Paul George basically for a layup. He was looking for help defense and wasn't there. And that really, you could see, kind of took the wind out of Indiana. It kind of deflated them a little bit, because they knew they gave one away, and you're not going to beat a championship team when you give games away. So, again, fast forward to this year. They started out the gate playing just tremendous basketball. I mean, they looked as if the championship had already been won. Well, that's why you play all the games. That's why you're going to play a full 81. And right now, Miami looks like they're starting to find themselves, and they're finding themselves in the second half of the season, which isn't a surprise. We all know championship teams, I don't want to say they coast, but they're basically they may add a wrinkle or two in, and they're just trying to figure some things out. And I think Miami is still keeping it close to the vest a little bit. I mean, you see Greg Oden on the sidelines over there, and yeah, people say, he's not going to give you much. Well, he gives you 6 fouls. And trust me when I tell you, he will be used when they play Indiana, if indeed they do play Indiana, which we all agree they will, in the Eastern Conference Finals. So as far as breaking down seeds, if you look at right now the way this thing stands and you see Indiana as a number 2 seed, Miami as a obvious number 1 seed, Toronto, surprising team there, 36-27 on the year. If I would have asked you at the beginning of the season that the Toronto Raptors would be any good for that matter, even having traded Rudy Gay, and they would be a better basketball team, you probably would have thought I was nuts. They're doing a great job up there, and right now they're going to win their division pretty much going away. I mean, they've pretty much, just taken over the Eastern Division over, Brooklyn, New York, Boston. I mean, it's Toronto, folks, and they're going to be a tough out too. I mean, they're a scrappy bunch. They get after it. They're going to be a tough out for whoever draws them. Are they in the class of Indiana, Miami? No. No one in the East is. The only team that I think has a legitimate chance to play with Miami or Indiana, and I think it's a matchup thing. I think the Wizards can play with Miami. They're not going to beat them. They may not even get a game on them, but those games, every game will be competitive. Trust me on that one. And then I think that Chicago matches up against Miami, but Chicago doesn't match up well against Indiana. So it just comes down to matchups. But at the end of the day, Indiana, Miami, they're going to be on their way on the collision course. Right now, they're battling to see who's going to have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Indiana right now 47-17, half a game over Miami. 1 game over Miami. Miami 44-18. So still several games to be played. 18-19 games left in the season. We'll see how it all plays out in the Eastern Conference. Now, in the Western Conference, it's interesting. There's several teams in the Western Conference that could do damage in this year's playoffs. I think there's legitimately 2 or 3 that are capable of winning the championship. But if you look at the standings in the Western Conference, there's going to be, 3 teams with winning records that don't make the playoffs. That's how dominant the Western Conference is right now. That's how balanced they are. You could possibly have a Phoenix Suns team at 36-28, and they're not going to make the playoffs. If the season were to stop tonight, Dallas would go in as an 8 seed at 39-27, a game over Phoenix. One of my favorite players, too, by the way, Goran Dragic. Listen, if you play fantasy sports or anything like that, you definitely need to have that guy on your team. Just one of my favorite players in the NBA right now. He, too, should have been on the All-Star game. That's a whole nother argument for a whole nother day. But if you look at the other teams, Phoenix, Minnesota, 32-31 right now. Denver, the Nuggets at 28-36 were a team that last year were in the playoffs. They were kind of like the darling of the West last year. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. You have a lot of teams that have talent. The Lakers, obviously, not making the playoffs. They may finish with the worst record in the West, period. They're battling Utah to see who's going to have that record. Right now, they're both 22-43. So if you look at the West, the lowest seeded team possible, Dallas Mavericks, if the season ended tonight at 39-27, they would be a 3 seed in the East. That's how dominant the Western Conference is right now. Can Dallas, can Memphis, can Golden State at 41-25, can Portland at 42-23, can any of those teams make a run and get to the finals? I doubt it. I think Portland is one of those teams that have come up really fast. They're doing a great job out there. They've got some of the best young players in the game. Unfortunately, when you're on the East Coast, you don't get a chance to see the Portland Trailblazers a lot. But LaMarcus Aldridge might be the best big in the game. He's that talented. I don't know if I'd give him that mantle just yet. I'm still a big Boogie Cousins fan, but unfortunately he plays for Sacramento, who they're not even sniffing the playoffs, 23-42. But that guy right there is a monster as well. So you look at some of these young teams that are really doing damage out west, and what they could have been doing is if they were in the East, they'd be playoff teams that could have runs in them. We're not going to see that out in the West. So for the sake of the program, I want to talk about the teams that I think legitimately can get out of the West. Naturally, it starts with San Antonio. They would be the number 1 seed at 48-17. 48-16, excuse me. Oklahoma City's 48-17. So those are the two teams that I think realistically will be the 1 and 2 seeds. I know the Clippers at 46-20 have an opportunity to maybe challenge to be a number 2 seed. I just don't think San Antonio goes on any kind of major losing streaks here. You're talking about, having to lose, 4, 5, 6 games down the stretch, out of 19, 18 games left, and I don't think they're going to do that. So I think they'll be the number 1 seed, and clearly they were in the finals last year against Miami. You heard me say this with Keyon. Probably should have won. Probably should have a championship right now in San Antonio, another one to go along with the other 3 that they have. Didn't happen. He said it himself. It's a fragile game. But Oklahoma City last year really didn't have an opportunity to compete because Russell Westbrook got hurt. And, that took the win right out of their sails. So you look at them now. Where's Oklahoma City? I'm still trying to put my finger on it. A little bit later on, I'd like to read some of your questions, some of your thoughts. As always, folks, you can reach out to us via social media. It's on, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's Sports Journey. My personal Facebook is Lake Lewis Jr. My personal Twitter is Lake Lewis. So let me know your thoughts on that. Towards the end of the show today, I'll read some of our fan questions of the day. You can chime in on anything you want. Try to stick with the theme, though. Hopefully you get that gist. So, you look at the West. The West has been dominant for years. It's been like this for a while. And to see just the top teams over there beat up on each other, and then they get to the, into the playoffs and get to the finals. I was surprised last year that San Antonio lost to Miami personally. I did not think Miami was the better team. And I remember talking to a lot of guys that I know who are big Miami fans. I think most young people today are growing up with the Miami Heat being like the Chicago Bulls of my era when I was growing up. So, and I can understand that, best player in the game, blah, blah, blah. I get all of that. They have the mystique right now as that team. However, San Antonio last year, to me, I think their window closed. I can't for the life of me see San Antonio and Miami again. Hypothetically, if they were to meet again for the finals, I just don't think San Antonio would be able to beat Miami. I don't know what it is. It's not that I'm a big Miami fan. I'm not. I respect them tremendously. Great team, but are they one of the greatest championship teams of all time? I don't put them in that category, at least not yet. You win 3 in a row, you have to by default be put up there. But right now, they're not one of the best championship teams we've seen because I think the division and conference that they've played in has just been atrociously bad over the years. It's kind of given them a little bit of a jump start on everyone else. But if you look across the board, who can challenge Miami? Can San Antonio legitimately challenge them again? They can be competitive. I don't know if they beat them. Can Oklahoma City beat Miami in a finals? No. And I'm going to say that flat out, no. I think that that's a team that they do not match up well, meaning Oklahoma City does not match up well against Miami. The Clippers, no. And no offense, I think Doc Rivers has done a great job there. They stayed afloat with Darren Collison at point guard for a while when Chris Paul was out with the separated shoulder. Now he's back, and you look at this team and what they've done, they've won 9 in a row. So the top 3 teams in the West right now have a combined 19-game winning streak going amongst them. San Antonio 8 in a row, Oklahoma City 2 in a row, the Clippers 9 in a row. And then you have the second tier. You have Houston at 44-20 playing some really good basketball up until the last couple of days. They have a 2-game losing streak, but before that, you're talking about a team that had won 7 out of 8. They were playing some really good, inspired basketball. James Harden, MVP caliber season, not going to win it. It's going to go either Kevin Durant or LeBron. But he has really lifted this team. They're going to need a lot from Dwight Howard if they're going to be a factor in the playoffs. And again, I'm not sure if Dwight can be that guy. I don't know if he wants to be that guy. So I'm not sure how far Houston goes. We talked about LaMarcus Aldridge and, everything, Damian Lillard, everything that they have in Portland. Great, great young basketball team. I think they're a year away. I think next year, Portland could be a really dangerous championship caliber basketball team. This year, they're going to be a team that's going to spoil someone's parade, but there's no way I see them beating the San Antonio. No way I see them beating the OKC in this year's playoffs. So lots more to talk about, folks. Remember, coming up shortly, we're going to have Richard Quinones, boxing analyst Q, as we call him. He'll be joining myself and breaking down the world of boxing. We're going to have him on here once a week with us now here on the network. He's excited as well, putting together his own gig here with us. And if you're a boxing fan, we tried to reach out and bring someone in that knew his stuff. He does a lot of stuff with Comcast and some different ventures, all boxing. And again, this guy knows his stuff. And if you're a boxing fan, chime in. Let us know your thoughts. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, more with myself, Lake Lewis, right here. You're watching the Lake Lewis Show.
Wide receiver of the New York Giants, and I just came off the show at Sports Journey. Had a great time with Blake, and I definitely want to come back and do it again. Maybe I'll bring some friends next time, and I had a blast.
Out here at Sports Journey, having a great time, been on the show several times, giving me a chance to vent, tell people, and really connect with the fans how I feel about different situations going on throughout the year, especially with the NFL, and I love it. Having met a lot of people out here, and just going to continue to come back and continue to grow this relationship with me and Sports Journey and my boy Lake Lewis.
With Lake Lewis on Sports Journey, had a good time tonight. Felt comfortable, just being myself. It was a great interview, a great time, and I love to do it again.
What's up? This is Alex Joseph from the San Francisco 49ers, number 58. How y'all doing? It's Vladimir Lucas, offensive line for the New York Jets, number 62. So I'll let you know we had a great time tonight with Sports Journey, hanging out with Chris and Lake. Good time. Be back here next time. See y'all some other day. Can't wait.
That's a good pour. Frosty glass, perfect amount of foam.
Thanks, Coach.
How's your Bloody Mary?
Spicy.
Wings?
Always fresh, never frozen.
All right. Who's the primary on Spider 2Z Snag?
It's the fullback out of the backfield. If he gets jammed, I'm heading the flanker on a curl route.
You're good.
I know.
Huddle up at Hooters. Why would you go anywhere else, man?
Hi, I'm Shannon Doherty. I've produced, I've directed, but now I'm doing something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to get my college degree. I logged on to Education Connection, the free service that showed me hundreds of schools and degrees. Now I'm getting my degree in liberal arts. But you could get yours in business, in nursing, even a degree in technology. Let Education Connection help you find the right program for free.
Log on now to 41educationmatching.com. That's 41educationmatching.com.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need. At Consolidated Credit, we understand that debt problems are not about overspending. It's about emergencies and unexpected situations. Consolidated Credit has helped over 5 million people, just like you. The options for getting out of debt have never been better. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble with debt. There's only one trusted way to get out: Consolidated Credit. When debt is the problem, we're the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-6016. That's 1-800-426-6016. Call now.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
All right, folks, welcome back to Sports Journey. Right here, breaking down on the program. And coming up a little bit later on, I'm going to have Rich Keyon joining us. And we had Keyon Dooling, who was on a little bit earlier, did a great job breaking down a whole bunch of stuff. So, again, as always, folks, you can check out the program, and you get a chance to see the archive versions of the show. So it'll give you a chance to actually, go back. If you don't have the chance to see some stuff, you can go back and watch us, and you get all over again in your house in the comfort of your own place. So again, check us out if you get some time. I want to let everyone know, if you go to sportsjourney.com and go to Fathead, you can get 20% off of any item there, 25% off 2 items, or 30% off 3 to 5 items through Fathead. You have to go to Sports Journey though. Use our promo code 123SAVE. Very simple stuff, folks. Go to the use the promo code 123SAVE, and Fathead doing a lot of great stuff. So again, man, where were we? Just talking about the NFL free agency that is coming up. Yesterday we did a great job. Phillip Daniels came in, broke some stuff down. C. White broke some stuff down, and you see where teams are right now. They're really trying to upgrade their team. And I go by having talked to some fans here in DC, and especially in Northern Virginia where I sit right now, and there's some Redskins fans that are out there that aren't happy with some of the moves that have been made by the Redskins. And I think on yesterday's show, I was rather critical of some of the moves, not because of the quality of the players, just because I didn't think that the true needs were addressed. I thought if you looked at this football team, the offensive line was in shambles last year. Let's be honest. A team that was built to run the ball. If you had to get them in pass protection, guys were getting tossed around like rag dolls. Just the way it is. Well, today, one of those guys that, last year I had been critical of his play down the stretch. Will Montgomery was released. And, you hate to see guys get released. Will Montgomery's a guy that's come on our program before and, did a nice little promo for us and everything. So, you hate to see guys have this part of their careers or this part of their livelihood, when you have to have that adversity hit. But the Washington Redskins needed to make moves on the offensive line. Clearly the secondary is still, where are they going to go with that? A name that you're hearing a lot here lately is Ryan Clark. Getting up there in age, but still a really effective football player. And let's face it, he would be an upgrade at the safety spot for the Washington Redskins. We're talking about a true leader out there, a guy that could perhaps help the younger guys. Bakari Rambo, if they're going to still keep Bakari Rambo, if they're going to still keep Phillip Thomas, who was hurt last year, didn't have a chance to play, got hurt in preseason. You think of what he could do, how he could help. Brandon Browner, a guy from Seattle, just a big physical. One of those traditional, now you can say that traditional big physical, secondary corner guys from Seattle. I think he could be a big plus here if he hasn't signed. Naturally, things that while I'm on the air that I'm not privy to yet. However, if you look at what they've done, and I had to go back and take a step back and look at it, I think getting Jason Hatcher was huge. I mean, I do. I think that was a big-time move for Bruce Allen. I thought that was a move that showed that, you can get guys and not break the bank here. Because that's been the MO here for the Redskins. It's always been, let's go out and get that big free agent signing. And fans here in D.C. know when they've tried to be had. I've said this for a long time. You show me a more loyal fan base than the Washington Redskins fans, and we're on another planet somewhere. I mean, if they're playing some other form of sport on another planet somewhere, that's where it'd have to be. And this isn't knocking anybody else's fandom. I don't email me or call me up or get mad because, I'm sitting here giving kudos to the Redskins fan base, and I'm not trying to be a homer here either because I'm from here. I've been all over the country. I've lived in different parts of the country, and I can tell you, fans are quick to turn their back real quick. and I'm not going to call those fans out. You can look my resume up. You can look me up. Google search me if you want. You can see where I've been. Yeah, you put 2 and 2 together. And I'm telling you verbatim, I've seen fans that literally had no interest in going to see teams, talking about them. I'm talking in the office, nothing. But they started winning. All of a sudden, now, hey, we got something. Let's go, something social to go see. But I'm saying here in D.C., Greater Washington metropolitan area, the fan base here it's rabid. I mean, there's no way for me to really convey how I feel about this without telling you it's the best fan base in the country. There's no getting around it. This fan base here will cheer for the Redskins through hell or high water. They will be there for them, and they've been there for them. This has been an ongoing theme, for Redskins fans. Their hearts have been broken quite a bit over the past several years, and I was joking with a friend of mine, but I told him, listen, if you are 30, 35, you're like the last link to the good old days, to the Joe Gibbs teams, being in the playoffs 6 years out of 10, and the Super Bowl 3 times, and NFC Championship was a 4th time. I mean, you remember that. But if you're younger than that, I hate to say it, I have friends that have, teenage kids, and I just date myself. So, I have friends that have teenage kids. Kids don't know what winning is. Maybe they got a sniff of it 2 years ago, but no, I'm talking about where you're a Super Bowl threat and everyone around the league knows that. It's been a long time if you're a Redskins fan. So for this fan base to still put up with some of the stuff that has happened up the street from where I am right now, it says a lot about them, and I think they should be commended for that. You can't hate on a Redskins fan for just being a fan, for being loyal, because I thought that was the definition of being a fan. You're supposed to cheer your team on to victory, hence the song, Fight On to Victory. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, some of the moves that I've seen them make, I think this is the first time where you're getting guys at bargain prices, and you're going to see how hungry they are. They haven't been given the keys to the city, and they haven't even been to the city yet. That's how bad it used to be. Guys used to get, the Brinks trucks driven up to their yard, dropped off the money, and they had never even been to the facility yet. The Redskins were signing players that had never come to the facility. Come on. I mean, maybe I don't know something, but I just think that's bad business. I can't sell you my house and you haven't been in the house. That just doesn't make sense. They're going to take the money, of course, but now Bruce Allen perhaps is bringing a change here. Perhaps, just perhaps, and I say that with the quotes, because I'm not going to sit here yet and toot horns yet. I'm not going to do that. I need to see. I still need to see that secondary addressed. I do. And I need to see a plan in the draft. I need to see guys that are drafted developed. You don't want to see young players anymore that show you that they're good enough to play in the league, but then they don't get any better, because that means they haven't been coached properly. I don't want to see, young guys giving up on after 1 year. You can't do that. I'm a Bakari Rambo fan, and people think I'm nuts. Yeah, and I say this, I just remember what he did at Georgia. And last time I looked, Georgia football is not bad. That's pretty strong football. I was an All-American, 2-time All-American. And last year, it looked like he put pads on for the first time in his life. That's how bad he looked. Is that him and only him? Or is that a combination of him maybe not being ready yet? Or is that, him not being coached up? Could be all of the above. Probably was all of the above. But you can't give up on your own guys. And that was the first thing that I did see in this year's free agency that shocked me. That the Redskins did not go out and make the big splash. But they signed guys that are good football players. Are they great football players? We don't know yet. That's the intention, for them to be great football players here. Not the key phrase, were great football players. Because, again, that was always what was done here. I remember the Bruce Smiths of the world coming here, and the guy clearly was here to get a sack record. I know that for a fact. I had guys tell me the guy was just worried about getting a sack record. That was bad. And Redskins fans remember that too. So hopefully, Burgundy and Gold get that thing straight and bring a competitive football team, because when you look around the board and you look at some of the moves that were made in their division, I think there's some changes that are going to be made. I think the Cowboys made some tough cuts Obviously, the Redskins, bringing Justin Hatcher, the Cowboys didn't want to pay. So, you have to see who wins out on that. Was he overpaid to come here? Was he underpaid by the Cowboys? We'll find that out. But you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and for them to pick up Darren Sproles yesterday, a lot of people don't understand the magnitude of that. That's a really good football player. And you pair him up with one of the top 2 running backs in the game today, and Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy, that's a pretty special backfield now. I mean, you could have those guys in the game at the same time and have them go each way. Which linebacker is going to come up? Who's going to come up and cover that? That's the point, and I'm sure that's what Chip Kelly's doing by making that type of move. It's going to be really interesting to see, can the Philadelphia Eagles take that next step? Can they take that step from not just winning the division, because let's face it was not a good division, it was not strong, to really expanding on what they did as a team last year. Jeremy Maclin comes back this year. That's going to make them more formidable if he's healthy. I think that was the reason why they let go of, fan favorite up there, Jason Avant. So, again, they re-signed Riley Cooper. That's an offense that has the potential to look pretty potent in its second year. They're going to know the offense even more now. They have an offseason to really prep for it. So for my money right now, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East. Yeah, they haven't even played a down yet. They haven't even done the draft yet. But I still think right now they are the team to beat. They're the division champs. They're the team to beat. I do think the Redskins, some of these moves are going to make this team a much more formidable football team. How formidable? Not quite sure yet. They will be better than they were last year. But let's be honest, you couldn't get much worse. It was that bad. The New York Giants. I think that they made a good move by going out and getting a young running back that, in Jennings, Rashard Jennings. I think that was a really good move. This was a guy that when he had the opportunity in Oakland last year, when their running back went down, I think that, McFadden went down. I think that Jennings came in and showed that, he could be a player in the league if given an opportunity. Well, he's going to have an opportunity in New York. I mean, I'm sure they're going to give him every opportunity to be their opening day starting running back. That's a good move for that team because that was a need that I thought that they needed to address. They needed to get a little bit more pop at the running back spot. Dallas Cowboys, again, not quite sure right now. It seems like the salary cap numbers, really caught up to Dallas, and they're purging their roster a little bit. And you think about it. If the salary cap wasn't at 133 and it was down to what it was at like 126, 127, wow. I mean, you could be seeing some really big names that would have been cut by the likes of the Dallas Cowboys. So, they got a little bit more flexibility with the salary cap expanding, and I think it's going to continue to go up for the next few years, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll help some teams, going forward, be able to get rid of some old contracts, get rid of some dead weight contracts there. Cowboys, I think, have already started that process right now. So, there may be another surprise cut from that team, maybe after the June 1st cuts. Normally those are the second wave, and that's normally when you get a lot of really, strong presence, as far as veterans who just may be too much money against the team salary cap getting up there in years. So lots of stuff anyway, folks. NFL free agency. Again, let me know your thoughts via social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, at Sports Journey, my personal Twitter, Lake Lewis, personal Facebook, Lake Lewis Jr. We'll take a break. Coming up shortly, we're going to have Richard Q. Quinones, boxing analyst, shift gears a little bit to talk about the world of boxing. Here, you're looking at the Lake Lewis Show.
This is Victor Cruz, wide receiver of the New York Giants, and I just came off the show at Sports Journey. Had a great time with Blake, and I definitely want to come back and do it again. Maybe I'll bring some friends next time, and I had a blast.
Out here at Sports Journey, having a great time, been on the show several times, giving me a chance to vent, tell people, and really connect with the fans how I feel about different situations going on throughout the year, especially with the NFL, and I love it. Haven't met a lot of people out here, and just going to continue to come back and continue to grow this relationship with me at Sports Journey and my boy Lake Lewis.
With Lake Lewis on Sports Journey, had a good time tonight. Felt comfortable, just being myself. It was a great interview, a great time, and I'd love to do it again.
What's up? This is Alex Joseph from the San Francisco 49ers, number 58. All y'all doing is Vladimir Lucas, offensive line for the New York Jets, number 62. So I'll let you know we had a great time tonight with Sports Journey, hanging out with Chris and Lake. It was a good time. Be back here next time. See y'all some other day. Can't wait.
That's a good pour. Frosty glass. Perfect amount of foam.
Thanks, Coach.
How's your Bloody Mary?
Spicy?
Wings?
Always fresh, never frozen.
All right. Who's the primary on Spider 2Z Snag?
It's the fullback out of the backfield. If he gets jammed, I'm hitting the flanker on a curl route.
You're good.
I know.
Huddle up at Hooters. Why would you go anywhere else, man?
Hi, I'm Shannon Doherty. I've produced, I've directed, but now I'm doing something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to get my college degree. I logged on to Education Connection, the free service that showed me hundreds of schools and degrees. Now I'm getting my degree in liberal arts. But you could get yours in business, in nursing, even a degree in technology. Let Education Connection help you find the right program for free.
Log on now to 41educationmatching.com. That's 41educationmatching.com.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need. At Consolidated Credit, we understand that debt problems are not about overspending. It's about emergencies and unexpected situations. Consolidated Credit has helped over 5 million people, just like you. The options for getting out of debt have never been better. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble with debt. There's only one trusted way to get out: Consolidated Credit. When debt is the problem, we're the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-6016. That's 1-800-426-6016. Call now.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Folks, welcome back here, Lake Lewis Show here, Sports Journey Media. Busy show for you out there. Had a NBA guard Keyon Dooling came on with us, and he said it himself, pretty much retired from the game, moving into that next phase of his life and doing some great things, helping people with his great foundation. Right now, we're going to switch gears, though. We talked NFL free agency, talked hoops, obviously, NCAA Tournament. But now we're going to switch gears, talk some boxing. It's Friday, good time to talk boxing, and we're bringing in a guy that really needs no introduction here on the network. I was on last week. A lot of people were like, who is that guy? Who's Richard Quinones? Richard Q. Quinones did a great job. What's going on, Q?
Lake, how you doing, my friend? How's everything?
Pretty good. And before we get into it, I got to tell you, if I were a betting man, you would have made me a lot of money last week with the Canelo Alvarez and the Angulo fight. It was a yawner, just like you said it would be.
Yeah, I mean, look, I definitely think it was one of those situations where Angulo, I don't want to call him a shot fighter. He hasn't been the same for a while now, especially against James Kirkland a couple of years ago. But for Alvarez, he did what he needed to do. He fought a good fight, but what's interesting against Mayweather, he couldn't do anything, and Floyd really got to him mentally, disrupted him from a defensive standpoint, and Alvarez just kind of looked like a flat fighter. Obviously, they positioned this where a lot of people believe he was going to dispatch Angulo, and we kind of saw it. I mean, you don't even really need to look past the 5th round because Angulo couldn't get out of his way of anything, even when he managed to throw. I mean, he was just picking off with his gloves. He got rocked with a left hook at the end of, I believe it was round number 2. And then you look at round number 3, abuse continued. By round number 5, Angulo's eye lake was swollen. I mean, that was the same eye that was damaged in the 10th round knockout loss to Atlanta Lara back in June, and had some swelling, and I just didn't think they were going to continue that fight. I know afterwards, Tony Weeks stood by his decision. Virgil Hunter, Angulo's trainer, said he was upset, but the bottom line is protect the fighter. Alvarez gets the win. You look at those punching stats, if you will. He landed 197, a 309 he threw. Very active, 64% compared to Angulo, who just threw 70, landed 78, and he threw 377. So again, there's a difference between throwing punches, throwing with purpose, and then actually connecting, because you exert a lot more energy when you throw and you miss than you throw and you land, and that was the case last week. And Alvarez is going to move on, and I think right now when you look at Alfredo Angulo, he's got to really decide where his career is going to go from here on forward.
Yeah, and it was, you're talking about two Mexican fighters. Obviously, you knew there was going to be a lot of, hard punches thrown and guys, known to have some tough chins. And I don't want fans, to think that we're sitting here, saying that Angulo was an easy win, for as far as, even when he was named the opponent for Alvarez. I don't want people to think that was a fight in the bag. I mean, you knew you had to come out and throw some punches. But I was taken aback a little bit with the easiness that it looked like Saul Alvarez basically had in this fight. Were you shocked that it was as easy as it was?
I wasn't. I mean, look, I know Alvarez weighed in at 174 on Showtime scale. Angulo was 170 light heavyweights. Yeah. But the bottom line was Alvarez looked sharp, he looked fast, he looked powerful. And the bottom line is he abused Angulo. I mean, you can't really sugarcoat it. He dominated him, and he did what a fighter was supposed to do when you're rebounding off a loss and you want to just continue your career where you believe it's going to go forward and fight for another title down the road. Again, not to be too harsh or critical of Angulo, but he is not the same fighter to me. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You can look at, taking on an Alvarez, I give him all the credit in the world, but this is a guy that after he got just rocked by Kirkland back in 2011 for the WBC, I believe it was the Continental America's light middleweight title, he beats Raul Cesar, he beats Jorge Silva. Those guys are not household names. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Defensively, it was an ugly fight against Lara. Lara got the TKO in the 10th, and then Alvarez cleaned him up with a TKO in the 10th of that 12-round fight last weekend. And it's just the bottom line. And Angulo maybe it's time to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and let's face it. I did say this. I got to get credit for something here. I did say when you're coming off fighting the best man on the planet, everything else after that's easy. I mean, he probably looked at Angulo and was like, wow, he's nowhere near as fast as Floyd. He's not as crafty, as shifty as Floyd. I mean, basically, life should be good for Alvarez for a while now, and let's face it, there's a couple big money fighters out there that are left. I mean, there is one guy coming up this weekend, Danny Garcia, guy that you're very familiar with, and a guy that we both think will be the ultimate swan song fight for Floyd Mayweather. Is there anyone, and perhaps is the gentleman he's going up against, is there anyone that could derail him from that possible matchup?
I don't know. To be quite honest with you, the first thing is that Garcia has to take care of business in Puerto Rico this weekend. He's defending his title in PR. We're talking about an island full of rabid boxing fans. And I think ultimately what Danny really wants and what his father wants is for him to carve out that niche as one of the all-time great Puerto Rican fighters. I mean, talking about guys like Benitez and Gomez and Hector Camacho and Tito Trinidad, John Ruiz, Wilfredo Vasquez, Cotto. You can go all the way back to Sixto Escobar back in 34. Bantamweight became Puerto Rico's first world champion. He's 25 right now, so sky's the limit for Garcia. But here's the thing. There's pressure on him.
Of course there is.
Business, yeah, it's a great business decision. You brand him in the PR. You showcase him against a tough opponent. But the reason I like Garcia Lake in this fight is because he's just confident. He's a good boxer. He's not going to do anything sexy or flashy, but he's got heart. He's got a tough chin, and he's got the one thing that every boxer needs: belief in himself. And he relishes the underdog role. Look, he was an underdog against Amir Khan. What happened? KO. He was an underdog against Batiste. What happens? He beat him. So, and there's a reason that he was on that undercard of Mayweather and Alvarez, because that tells you he's a potential opponent for Mayweather. Not ready to fight at 147, but down the road, I think that's the potential matchup. And Herrera, look, he's a tough fighter. He's going to look to spoil the party, but I just think ultimately Danny Garcia, who's not going to take this opponent lightly, is just a better boxer. Technically, we talked a little bit about it last week. I can see him winning this one.
Well,
and he should.
If he and Floyd were to hook up down the road, what do you think would be the ideal weight?
You know, I would say 140.
Wow, I mean that's a lot to come down to, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Danny Garcia is ready to fight at 147. I mean, maybe there's a catch weight. And I know it's for great bar talk. And you asked me and I'm answering it. I always, maybe I'm in the mindset of a boxer too. I never try to look ahead, so to speak, but I think you've got to take care of business. We got to see what Floyd does in May, and then it's probably that next fight for maybe in the fall, because you know Garcia is probably going to try to get one more fight in the summertime. And then maybe it's that fall, that monumental payday where we do see a Mayweather and Garcia.
Yeah. I had a friend ask me that, and I told him I would check with you. I also think that there's a possibility that in-between fighter between them we could possibly see a Garcia-Broner fight if Broner rebounds from the loss that he just recently had. So there's a lot of storylines out there. Folks, right now we're talking with boxing analyst Richard Q. Quinones. This guy's blowing up here on the East Coast, doing some great stuff. You can check him out on Comcast. You have a new venture that you've just recently joined. Can you tell our listeners about that as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned it last week that I told you about the new network that's going to be starting down south, the TKO network. Those guys doing a great job, and Danny Edwards, I got to give him credit because he talked about how sometimes, you know, the television and the Showtime and the HBO and these venues always double up the events, and we're seeing it actually this weekend with Showtime and NBC Sportsnet. But I know I'm going to have an opportunity to work a little more closely, hopefully with Sports Journey and you doing the show, and that's something I'm really pumped up about.
Yeah. I mean, we're excited about it, and I think a lot of fans need this stuff. I mean, because let's face it, boxing has been, you have the people out there to keep crying the MMA, and you know how I feel about that. Please don't bring that to the table, because I've said it before, a true prize fight against the best thing you can throw out in MMA, it's not even close. Come on. It's not even close in the money rankings either. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and it's still boxing, but it's kind of switching gears a little bit. Do you ever feel like boxing can get back? You see what's happening with MMA as far as the women now, and they have a buzz about them. Can boxing get ever, a love affair with female boxers, or is it just something? Because you go back to the Christy Martins and Layla Ali, you haven't seen it since. Is that a part of boxing, Q, that you think is dead and gone, or could it come back?
No, you know what? I think that's so funny that you mentioned it. It's ironic. I actually had the pleasure of talking to Heather, the Heat Hardy, this past week for an article on my blog on Q Sports, and she's under Lou DiBella Boxing. She's a very good-looking fighter. She's undefeated. She's getting ready to fight next week. I think I'm a huge proponent and advocate for female boxing. These girls are just unbelievable in the ring. I mean, I can give you, unless you are a die-hard, hardcore boxing fan, names like Ronica Jeffrey, the Queen out of New York, who's actually ranked #1 in the world. That's how good this young lady is. Natasha Spence, Melissa St. Ville, they call her Little Miss Tyson. You have Heather Hardy.
Tori Nelson. Tori Nelson right here in Ashburn, Virginia.
Absolutely. I mean, I think female boxing is alive and it's well, and they're doing a great job. Now, the one thing I will say, in every female boxer, every female fighter, like, that I speak to, says the same thing. They say we, meaning them, they have to promote the sport. And look, I can give you some names right now. Like I said, Nadia Feliciano. You have Selena Salazar, Shelly Vincent, Claudia Gutierrez, Anna Jolton. I mean, you've got some girls here. You've got some girls that Jess Coward, Chica Coward out of New York. Some of these girls are Olympic hopefuls.
Wow.
I mean, that's how good they are and how schooled they are in the world of boxing. And the beauty of these female boxers, I mean, I give them, my goodness, all the credit in the world. Some of them have families. They work full-time jobs. They go through school. They're single mothers. But you know what? They lace them up, and they hit as hard as some of the men do, and they have a lot of heart and a lot of guts. And if they keep promoting that sport, and it's big over in Europe as well, if they continue to really get these females out in front and start making them, on some venues, main events, co-mains, I'm telling you, the people will come and watch, and it'll be a great attraction, and it's good for the sport. It's very, very good for the sport. Regardless of what anyone believes, I'm telling you, I've sparred with females before. You get hit from a man or a woman, it still stings. And these girls are athletes, and they're hell of fighters.
You know, right, folks, boxing analyst Richard Q. Quinones joins us right now, and you get a chance to hear, like I told you last week, the passion is there. God knows what he's talking about. He just dropped like 10, 11 names of female fighters on you that you never even heard of, you know. And I can say, you know, you mentioned as far as these female fighters, you know, being single moms, a lot of them working. You know, Tori Nelson, who's right here, you know, a WWBCBA champion. You know, she, you know, drives a bus during the day. You know, I know, you know, she works at a restaurant here locally. Just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And she said it herself. You know, they just want to be given, you know, the same opportunities. Obviously, they'll never make the same money that the guys are making, at least not right now. I mean, it's just, you know, no one's making Floyd money. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you know, if you could see them more on the undercards, you know, I mean, it doesn't have to be, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be the main fight, but if it can be, you know, two female fighters on the undercard of a Mayweather fight of Danny Garcia this weekend in Puerto Rico, I think it would bring more fanfare to their plight. And I'm not sure. I just don't know what the issue is, because listen, if you can see MMA really pushing, you know, what is it, Rousey is her name or whatever, if you see them pushing her and she's like now one of the top 5 most recognized faces in MMA, come on, man, something's got to be done for boxing. You know, I'm all for the growth of boxing now.
Well, and Rossi is a good self-promoter, saying she can beat Floyd. She's a good-looking girl. She's very talented. And look, well, the bottom line is it's selling yourself and positioning yourself and branding. I mean, look, I think when you look at the weekend, and I see you smiling, when you look at the weekend that we have for boxing, I mean, it's really unbelievable, because you've got fights in PA and Moscow and Mexico and England. You know, I do want to mention, too, on that Garcia undercard, Deontay Wilder versus Malik Scott. Now, that's 12 rounds. That's for the WBC heavyweight eliminator. And I know a lot of your fans know these two fighters respectively. And I will say this about this fight. If you were to ask me right now, give you an upset over the weekend, I certainly can see Malik Scott.
Hey, I knew you were going to say it.
I can see Malik Scott beating Deontay Wilder. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you two reasons why.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have pop, okay, but he's an excellent boxer, and I think that gives you, quote unquote, a fighter's chance. Look, if I'm not going to look for Scott to bang with Wilder, because he does, he's going to get KO'd. But here's food for thought: Deontay Wilder has not gone past 4 rounds, and in his entire career, that is an undisputable fact. And he's been known to gas early. And if you're looking at something in that fight going forward, I'm telling you right now, Malik Scott, he's fought guys, he's fought 8-rounders and 10-rounders, a bunch of 8-rounders against Cook and Relaford and Butler. The guy has some powers I alluded to. You know, he's secured 36 wins. That's not bad. He's a veteran in the ring. He knows how to get it done. And I think what you look here in this fight is whoever wins is going to be in line to take a title shot against the winner of Gaverny and Arreola, the rematch, which is going to determine the new WBC title holder, because everyone knows Klitschko recently held the belt, was elevated due to his status. He's no longer actively fighting, so this is a huge fight for both men respectively, and I can see Malik Scott beating Deontay Wilder if he boxes, he doesn't allow Wilder to mix it up and brawl with him, and he stays away from that power. I think he can win this one on the scorecards.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, my friend. And folks, obviously, we're talking with boxing analyst Richard Quinones, Richard Q. Quinones. We know over the past few years, well, not even past few years, maybe the past decade and a half now, 15 years, that the heavyweight division has gone literally to Europe. I mean, we know it's gone to Russia specifically. I think fans here I get a lot of people that ask me all the time, what's happened to the heavyweights in the United States? And I told them they started playing football and they started playing for teams like the Miami Heat. You know, my question to you, though, is that you know a lot of the pulse of boxing. You know the radar with some of these younger guys. And you told me that you really feel like the heavyweight division has a chance to really reclaim itself here in the United States. How soon is that going to happen, Q? And give us some of the names of the guys that you think are on your radar.
I think it's going to happen well within the calendar year. And
really, that's soon?
There's a name I mentioned. What's that?
I mean, that soon. That's. I thought you were going to say like in 2-3 years, but I mean literally this year.
I think the problem is people laugh at the heavyweight division because they see a guy, and this is absolutely no disrespect to a guy like Antonio Tarver, who's fought a long time in boxing, and they see how he can come back, and it's kind of a joke. Well, look, Tarver's 45. He's a southpaw. He's going to last a little bit. Tony Thompson is 42. Okay, he's a southpaw. He's hanging in there. I mentioned Amir Mansour, who's taking on Steve Cunningham, respectively, April 4th. That's a guy that has freakish power. People want to see if he can step up, and he's going to have his hands full, mind you, against Cunningham. You have Seth Mitchell. You have Jonathan Banks. You have Wilder, we mentioned. You have Brian Jennings, Kevin Johnson. You have Eric Molina. You've got a lot of these guys who, the beauty is if you get that shot, that eliminator, that puts you right in line, and then boom, you can win a title. So that's why I think there's an opportunity. It's never, look, the best divisions right now, welterweight, middleweight. I mean, let's call it the way we see it, right? You're never going to see how it was in the heavyweight division years ago back in the day. That was the sexy aspect of boxing. Everyone wanted to see the heavyweights. Yeah. You watch heavyweights now, Lake, and if they throw a combination, you almost fall out of your chair because they don't do that anymore. So I think you've got some names there, and if these guys can put on good shows, 10, 12-round fights that are action-packed, that you're really seeing some technical skill in the ring, they get cut early, they get knocked down, they get back up, they finish off the fight, that's appealing to boxing fans. I just believe it's like this. You go to a restaurant and you have one bad experience, you're never going back. I think that's what happened with the heavyweight division of boxing. People got so soured on seeing these guys that are just out of shape and just... you never lose your punching power, really, when you're a heavyweight. If you have the power, you don't lose it. You might lose hand speed, but you don't lose the power. It wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't easy on the eyes, as they say, right? And I think people just see heavyweights and they're like, oh, forget it, man. I'll go back. I'll flip through it. But I do think you have some really talented guys, especially in the U.S. I mean, Europe's always dominated in that regard, but I do think you have some real good guys in the U.S. who can make some noise within a year or so.
Do you think that would really put boxing back to where, you don't have to even hear these grumblings that MMA has surpassed it? And I don't want to keep giving MMA all the time of the day. I'm
biting my tongue right now. Yeah. I'm biting my tongue, Lake Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Dana White's got a great product there. But I've always said, don't, if you're MMA, don't compare yourself to boxing. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, for all those fans that want to do that, there is no comparison. But if the heavyweight division were to come back, would that really, put boxing back up into the upper echelon, not just of, going up against those guys, but I'm talking about, in the same breath as the NFL, the NBA? Would it be in that breath again? No?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a niche sport, let's be honest. It's not like it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and to some part in the 90s when you had those recognizable names, right? I mean, I can give you, like I said, 15 names, and maybe the hardcore boxing fan will know 12 out of 15 because they are the hardcore boxing fan. They're the pulse, the heartbeat of the sweet science. You know, these are guys that sit near the computer. They get all the PPVs. They watch everything that goes on. And I just think regardless of how the heavyweight division falls into place in the U.S., it's just never going to be that sexy division. The guys want the middleweights, the welterweights. They want light heavies. You know, they just don't want heavyweights. They just, it doesn't have a mass appeal. It's never going to be on the comparison of the four majors. And again, I got to go back to my good friend Danny Edwards at the TKO Network. He said to me, this guy is a boxing guru, historian, knows the sweet science. He is what I call a diehard boxing fan. We text all the time, talk about boxing, and he said to me the other day, he was like, "Look, Rich, it's about the promoters and the cards that they're putting on, and the fact that it's so hard now. If you're a fan, right, on this Saturday, this weekend, what are you going to watch? How are you going to decide?" Well, NBC Sports, they put a fight on, and it's not a bad card, Adamak and Glasgow, but that's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Are you really going to put that up against Showtime?
No.
Where you have Garcia fighting and Wilder, Malik Scott, and again, by the way, that's one of the reasons that TKO Network is going to be creative, because they're going to give those opportunities to see fights all over the place, and you're not going to have to worry about missing fights. You might get some afternoon fights, you might get some late evening fights, but that's the one thing boxing has to fix. I can't sit there and watch from Reading, England, or Springfield, Virginia, where, by the way, one of your young fighters in your backyard, Jerry Odom's going to be fighting this weekend. I can't watch Moscow or Mexico. I can't focus on everything. I can do it, but I'm not really going to get pure enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I love picking your brain on this stuff, man, because this is obviously what you do. And these are questions that, quite frankly, I get from boxing fans. A lot of boxing fans will throw names out there, and they ask me, what do I think of them? Obviously, I've had some people ask me about the Durrell brothers. Are they legit? Are they guys that really can compete in a couple years for championships? And I'm like, I thought they already were, actually. So of course, there's a lot of guys that are under the radar. And how boxing works. It goes in cycles. Just 3 years ago, no one knew who Danny Garcia was unless you were a guy like yourself, or you were a diehard boxing fan, or you were from South Jersey or Philly. But now his name is on the cusp of being a household U.S. American sports name. In a year or so. And let's face it, if he fights Mayweather, it'll be there. We don't know what the results will be. But let's do this hypothetically. You tell me if I'm going to give you some guys and tell you. Could they possibly hook up, or is the weight, differential too much and they could never fight? So I'll throw out some names. So I already said Garcia Broner. Would that be a fight you'd like to see?
No, it wouldn't. I'm not the biggest Broner fan, and I think he's a young guy and he's extremely talented. I think he was humbled. Mayweather actually went out of his way and said, "Hey, Adrian Broner, you got to work harder in the gym." Now, you take that to heart, if you will. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that's a fight Danny Garcia would take, to be honest with you. Okay,
I'm gonna keep Garcia's name out there, Garcia Alvarez.
I mean, you're talking about
a 20-pound weight difference.
You're looking at a linebacker, and knocking over maybe a slot receiver like an Eric Decker.
Hey, listen.
I would love to see like a James Kirkland. He's such an action-packed fighter. I'd love to see him and a Curtis Stevens. I like two guys going forward, exchanging punches.
Yeah, that would be nice.
He would make for a great fight.
That would be nice. Okay, I'll throw one out. You more of a mainstay. Let's just say Bradley does beat Pacquiao. Could we see a Bradley Mayweather fight?
I'm not saying you can't. I think the reason why
no money involved in that fight.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, look. there have been talk of potential. Mayweather Bradley maybe next September.
Okay.
And I don't ever see it happening, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Timothy Bradley, I know he's a great fighter. I really think Danny Garcia is kind of that face that they're trying to put into place, so to speak. I think they're building up is and maybe it's a pipe dream leak, like Garcia taking on Mayweather.
He'll get destroyed.
I have to really sit down and say to myself, who would take that fight? Well, a lot of people would for the money, but really to promote it, to position it, to me, that's a dream fight, because you really see what Garcia is made out of, and we have really to some extent, but you want to see Floyd really get tested a little bit and see if he's going to go into retirement with a loss or another win.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I like Danny Garcia quite a lot. He can't beat Floyd Mayweather. I just don't see it. I think he's got all the skill sets that you would need to be equipped to try to beat Floyd. But I just think what's in between the ears of Floyd Mayweather is just smarter than any other guy's boxing IQ. He beats guys before they even get in the ring. I mean, he knows how you lace your shoes up when you get in the ring. I don't see it.
Look, that fight would be something in Puerto Rico. That would never happen. But Bernard Hopkins told me this years ago. He had a great line. He said, "Rich, whenever I go, quote, on the road in a bout, I'm giving up 3 rounds right there. So, hey, that fight's in Puerto Rico. I guarantee it might be a controversial ending." Well, I don't guarantee, but it might be a controversial ending, and I know it's a pipe dream. I never say a guy can't beat another guy, because all I go back to Tokyo years ago, right?
Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. He had the perfect night, and he caught Iron Mike on an off night. And that's the beauty of boxing, and that's why I think if you are a diehard boxing fan, you really love the sport. If you're a so-so average boxing fan and you really pay attention, you watch guys get knocked down in the second, get a cut, come back, knock a guy back down in the 4th, and then they go to the belt to the 10th, you're sold, you're hooked. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's how I was hooked.
I'm going to say this, and understand where I'm going with it. First of all, you know I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan, my favorite fighter, just one of my favorite athletes, period. But let me just say this. I think what would be best for boxing, believe it or not, would be for a Danny Garcia to upset a Floyd Mayweather. And here's my reason for that. If they ever were to fight, if they ever took care of their business and they do get this dream fight, and we know the money that would be made there, boxing now has someone that realistically they can say is continuing now. Now this is the torchbearer, and who's going to get this guy? So you still keep, you keep the fan curiosity. You still keep, the fan interest now in a new boxer. But if Floyd goes out on top, he's pretty much picked through the guys that now you're being forced to say are the best fighters in their weight class. Do you think that there could be a chance there that, some people maybe behind the scenes would want Floyd to lose just for that simple reason?
Well, I think there's haters out there everywhere. I mean, a lot of people wanted to see Broner get knocked on his fanny. A lot of people want to see Mayweather get knocked out. A lot of people want to see Garcia get knocked out. That's just the guys that maybe just don't respect or really understand the sport. Now, they're entitled to that opinion. They are. I mean, there are boxers I don't like, but it's nothing personal. It's just I don't like their style in the ring,
well,
and I'm entitled to that.
Well, I think people want to see Danny Garcia's dad get knocked out. Maybe not Danny Garcia.
Hey, that's it behind the madness. But to go back to your question, look, what if this? I'll throw a little a monkey wrench in that. What if Garcia beats Mayweather and it's a huge payday, and then all of a sudden it's a rematch? So that's the beauty. Boxing is driven by one thing. It's the buck. It's the dollar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how it is, man. I mean, there's no black or white here. There's no gray, really. If this is the best fight on the card that's going to bring in the most money on a major network, PTV, pay-per-view, hundreds of millions of dollars in buys and promotions. It could be, we're talking, you go back to the great fights over the last 30 years. I mean, they can really build that. And first things first, though, Garcia's got to win Saturday, Floyd's got to win in May. Then maybe we can kind of go back to this conversation. But again, they have to deal with the task at hand first.
All right. Well, look, got some good stuff coming up. I mean, I will be tuning in and checking it out this weekend. And again, I'm excited about TKO Network. I'm excited about what they're going to do, and what you're part of, because again, as a boxing fan, I do sometimes feel like I'm shortchanged. It just you don't get the same coverage that you used to get, and again, it's because the fighters haven't been there, and unfortunately we get that one mega fight per year. I want to get back to the days where you had 2 or 3 of those things per year, and it wasn't the same guy, by the way.
Hey, listen, these guys, it's cutting edge what they're doing. You've got boxing guys that understand the sport. They understand it's for the fans. It's really something that's, I believe, really going to take boxing from a broadcasting standpoint to the next level. And it's something that I'm real excited when these guys are up and running. And real quick, too, for your area, check out Monday, I believe, Comcast, the Comcast Network, and also check out Comcast Sportsnet. They'll be re-airing Fight Night at Dover Downs. Good fight I did. Aslanbek Kozev and Ray Robinson. That was for an NABA title. Also, Cornelius Locke was on the card. You can check that out if you go to GFL.tv. So then you can see all the action I call ringside on TV.
Man, you're getting big time on me. I got to check it out. I definitely will. Folks, Richard Q. Quinones. And yeah, we're excited too, with some things that he's going to be doing here at Sports Journey Media. So putting together the band, folks, some guys that, I've known for a while that have really, paid their dues, guys that have been everywhere. You may not have even known what you were hearing or who you were hearing, but I can assure you at one point you were hearing the gentleman I have on the line with me right now. Coming up this weekend, nothing on the undercard or even the main fight that you think serious. I know you just said you won't go out and make predictions, but come on, Q, there's not going to be any upsets, are there?
Well, look, I think Scott is. I definitely think he's got a good chance to be Wilder. I mean, I don't really see anything with the Lopez de Leon. That's a rematch. The Adamek card doesn't really light me on fire. I'll tell you what's kind of interesting, though. Like I said, the local cards in Springfield, Virginia, you want to check out Brandon Corliss, and you also want to check out Jerry Odom. Jerry Odom, they call him the King's Son. Great amateur record. He's taken on William Gill. That's a 6-rounder super middleweight. And then he turns back around, and he's going to fight April 4th. And also, if you followed Bobby Gunn, who was supposed to take on Roy Jones Jr., the bare knuckler, his son, Bobby Gunn Jr., is going to take on Delvin Thief. That's 4 rounds middleweight. And that's, as I alluded to, that's in Springfield, Virginia. I believe, I don't know if that's in your backyard.
Oh, it is.
Lake.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes from me here from Ashburn. So yeah, you actually got my interest there. I may have to make an appearance.
Yeah, look, if you get a chance, definitely check it out, because Jerry Odom had a wonderful amateur record, and he's a very good looking fighter, very fast hands, very slick. He's very young too. He's 21 years of age, and I believe that's going to be held at the ABC Sports Complex. And that's not a bad card, to be quite honest with you. It's got a bunch of young and up and comers. Anton Davis as well. Anthony Juice Young. He's a very good fighter. He's 9-0. That's a kid you might want to also take a look at. He's right in my backyard in Atlantic City. He's 26. He's taking on a veteran in Reggie Nash. And again, that'll be at the ABC Sports Complex.
All right. Well, look, my friend, I appreciate you coming on as always, and we'll do this again next week. We'll give people kind of a recap of some things that are happening, and then there's some more fights coming up next weekend too that we'll break down. So, as always, my friend, great job, and look forward to having you part of the program. All right.
I appreciate it, Lake. Have a great weekend, pal.
Okay, take care. You too. Folks, Rich Quinones, Q, as I call him. Again, I mean, you just hear the names that he was dropping on you. How many people out there knew some of the names? I know I didn't, and this is what I do for a living. But this goes to show you the passion that he has and the knowledge that he has. And obviously, like I said, he's one of the up-and-comers in the boxing game. I mean, you're going to hear his name big time. One day I expect to see maybe he's going to be calling the Danny Garcia Floyd Mayweather fight. That would be awesome. But, just some of the names that he dropped. And now I know I've got an event this weekend. I'm going to try to head on out there to ABC and check it out in Springfield, not too far from us here in Ashburn. So look, folks, as always, I appreciate all the love we've been getting. A lot of people, said they're happy I'm back on, happy the program's back on. It's a little different from the past when this was all I did every day for 3 hours a day, going back to ESPN radio. This is all I did. But now just, being a credential media member in the NFL, the NBA, I cover teams. So there's times I can't be on the air every day. But nevertheless, this is always my first love in sports, and I enjoy it. I appreciate all the fans, with the nice comments, and they love the guests that we're bringing on today, too. Outstanding guest, Keyon Dooling, NBA guy, and then boxing analyst who you just heard, Richard Quinones. Also, earlier in the week, Jesse White was on with us. Philip Daniels was on with us. Some great people coming on next week. Should be on 4 times next week. So got a lot of stuff coming up in the bag for next week's programming as well. So we're going to wrap it up here. And look, it's the weekend. You have fun. My saying, you spend time with family and friends. You leave everyone else alone. Just be safe out there, folks. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back next week. And as always, coverage doesn't stop here on Sports Journey Media. Great articles being written pretty much on a daily basis. So, find out what's going on in the world of free agency in the NFL. You can find out as far as the NCAA Tournament, what's going on in the NBA. Some great writers here at Sports Journey. A lot of good stuff. So check us out here, always sportsjourney.com. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe.